So what we were just talking about is Evelyn. Instead of the for those of you just tuning in, and for those of you we're live, everyone, welcome. So instead of having the headliner with the dome light, you could have like some taxidermy, like a jackalope with some LED eyes, and that could be like the dome light. I think that would be really awesome. Yeah. Does anyone not know what a jackalope is?
Okay, I have the definition.
Okay.
A jackalope is a folkloric creature from the U.S. Southwest, the American Southwest. It's a jackrabbit with antelope antlers, rarely seen.
That's right. That's right. So everybody knows what a rabbit is, right? So jackrabbits are kind of like big rabbits. They run around the desert. And sometimes you'll see when you walk into some of these Western, roadhouse, rest stop areas, they'll have a jackalope on the counter, basically a taxidermied rabbit with antlers, like little antlers that I don't know where they got the antlers from. They must have manufactured them. I don't know if they're plastic or what, but it's kind of a popular item. And your Western Soul hat reminded me of that. Thank you, Evelyn. So welcome everyone to our mastermind group, where we will talk about things significant and less significant, like jackalopes. But I'm John Lavenia, as you probably already know. And this is the start of another week. It's Monday, May 17th. And you know what? The first person I saw when I logged in here for the first time this week into my hosting account and confronted all you wonderful people was Evelyn Smith. So I asked Evelyn, what's your pleasure? Anything you want is what we're talking about here today. And she gave us a nice topic, and I'm about to bring that to life here in just a minute. But before I do, let me tell you what else is going on. So today, of course, we have our e-commerce work group with Neil and Emma, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. That's 8 p.m. British summer time. That's middle of the night for our friends in Aussie land. Okay, so get together there. Of course, Emma is a brilliant sourcing expert. She knows about product sourcing for e-commerce. And Neil has become quite the expert in pay-per-click advertising methods, ones that will actually produce something and not just you throwing money at things that don't bear fruit. So tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern if you're a member here. If you're not a member here, you can become a member here. You're just seeing this on YouTube or Facebook or something. And you can do that by going to jlsuccessmastermind.com, grab a 2-week free trial, and you will be in business. We are going to be getting together again today, which will be tomorrow for our friends later time zones. And that's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And that is going to be for our book study group, where we are on part 3. So this book right here, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Look at that. False background. The book just vanishes. Now you see it. Now you don't. Look at that. Look at that. That's amazing. By this guy, T. Harv Eker. And so we are on Wealth Files 8 through 14. So we're doing about 50 pages a week, study as she goes, right? No one's going to get a brain hernia trying to cram. We don't cram around here. We read stuff and we put it to use to the best of our ability and with the highest level of integrity that we can muster. So tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time for that. So that brings me to present time right now. What are we doing in present time? So talked with Evelyn a little bit. She was talking about people and just kind of relaying a little bit for those of you who are just tuning in, relaying a little bit about how pleasing it is to be able to work with people we actually like, how to get together like in our group that we're doing right now, and how it feels safe and inviting and welcoming and validating. And aren't these all the things that we want, whether we're working in an office environment or we're the CEO of a company or we're the janitor who just got a job, whatever. Don't we want that? I think part of the pay, I know part of my pay just for being alive and doing the whole earth thing is being able to work with and cooperate with and be on purpose with other on purpose people. That's actually, we can call that psychic pay, right? So there's financial pay, right? There's like the remuneration of exchange money, right? So that's what a lot of people focus on. But here's the question: how long can you go like that if it's just about the money, right? How long can you go like that? Obviously, with what we're doing here in the mastermind group, it's obviously not about the money, right? I mean, this is a passion of mine. It's something I've been doing for decades, with or without this particular forum. Usually, without this particular forum, this is rather new. We've been doing this less than a year, and it's almost free, right? So obviously, there's a bigger purpose than just money. And yet, right, that's not to discount the importance of money, right? As the book that we're reading, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Harv actually, talked about where people have approached him in a seminar and said, oh, well, money's not that important. He's like, hold on a second, you're broke, right? Well, I've been struggling a little bit lately. It's like, no, you've struggled with this your whole life, right? Well, yeah. So no, money's not everything, but it is extremely important in areas where it is important. Just like, anything else we could say. It's like, think of it like being in the desert and saying, water is not important. That's kind of a foolish statement, right? Now, let's say you're in, you're living right next to an aquatic spring or something, and there's all the water you could ever drink for the rest of 15 lifetimes. You may take for granted, and it would be, I suppose, okay for you to do so, that, I don't have to go and put a whole lot of attention on water right now. Being someone who lives in the desert, I really value water. Water is a big deal, right? We wouldn't have the 5th largest metro area in the United States, Phoenix, Arizona, without a good water supply. So anyway, we're talking about people. We're talking about one of the, Evelyn and I, we're talking about one of the things that we appreciate in the things that we do, the things that we show up for every day. And it's really about the quality of people. And so I thought to myself, wouldn't it be interesting if I just opened this book and opened to a page somewhere within the chapters that we're reading and that we're going to be reviewing tonight at 9:00. Wouldn't it be interesting if I opened somewhere around between a half and 3/4 of the way through the book? So it's about a 50-page range. And I just open to the first page and I see what's written on it. And so I did. And here's what it says. Wealth principle. How you do anything is how you do everything. End of quote. So how about that for the quality of people, including and especially the one that we're so intimately involved with all day, every day, that person who we look at in the mirror, that person who is to be rewarded and complimented and validated for all of our tremendous victories, and the person who is to be also recognized as the cause point for any of those blunders. Yes, every time we miss the mark, we also see in the mirror the person who keeps showing up at the scene of the crime. So what I'm thinking is to take a look this week, and this can be sort of a theme for the day. You can do with this what you like. This is about your experience, not just what I'm not here to dictate to you how you should live. But what I can tell you is that I have found this to be very true. How I do anything is how I do everything. I'll give you an example. So here's sort of an adverse example, and I think some of you are going to appreciate this. So I was told that it would be a good idea for me to take up golf because successful business people play golf. Okay, so I took up golf. Plus, living in Arizona, it's like golf central year round, right? You can do the golf thing. Got to do it kind of early in the morning in the summer because it gets up to 120 degrees out there. It's a big deal. By the way, if you ever want to see a road runner, like a real road runner, golf courses. Road runners love golf courses. Now you know. So I'm out there on a golf course. I played golf a few times. I sucked. I wasn't that interested in it. I stopped playing golf. I sold the clubs for probably 10% of what I paid for them because there's lots of people selling golf clubs in the used market in Arizona, right? So don't expect to get your money back out of that. But I abandoned that because just not that interested. Not that interested. Nice, get to be outside. I can go hiking. Oh, I love hiking. So now here I am. I got the pack with the hydration system, right? The Camelback, the water thing. Actually, I just recently picked up a Condor one. I've got like 3 or 4 hydration packs. Yeah, 3. I wound up delegating or giving one of them away. But so I've got 3 different hydration packs for different missions. I'm going up this mountain. I'm doing the thing. I got the electrolytes. I've got the emergency kit, right, and all of the other embellishments, right, to kit out your your pack, right. And I can get up mountains. I can go through canyons. I can be in the desert. I know what to do, man. I am John of the desert. So how is that? Or if we just said how you do anything is how you do everything, how is that the case, John? Well, you just demonstrated, or you just explained how you didn't engage in golf and how you did engage in hiking. Both are outdoor activities, okay? But look at it this way. Am I doing golf? How you do anything is how you do everything. I am not doing golf. I'm not doing it. Now, I could change my mind again later. And if I did, I would be at the golf shop and spending thousands of dollars, and I got to have exactly the right glove and all this stuff, just like with the hiking thing, just like with the motorcycle thing, just like with the gun thing, just like with the music thing, right? How many people, throw $50,000 at a stereo system, right? So if I do it, I friggin' do it. The point is, with golf, as an example, I'm not doing it because how you do anything is how you do everything. So knowing that I tend to be a bit obsessive, and if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Golf wasn't in the mix. How about for you? Where you're showing up in your life, business, for example, right? So now we're talking about things that will pay you, right? Not just hobbies, riding motorcycles through the desert. I mean, that's fun. Some people do that for a living, right? They're I don't know how much money they make, but they run YouTube channels, and I guess they get endorsements and, please review my product. Here's some free stuff. Okay. Right. So there's a bit of lifestyle that goes on with that. So that's how they do that. Right. And that's what they do. Like, they really do it. I talked about this in my first book where, I was learning how to play guitar, and I got really into it too. I bought 5 guitars. Is Adrian here? Adrian knows a bit about guitars. We got a few musicians in the house, but man, I got into it. And I got all these amplifiers and effects and stuff. And I subscribed to the magazines, and I got the lessons and all of this. And I remember because I started to engage in this, not for professional purposes, although it wouldn't be bad to do another band here, but not for professional purposes. But man, what a rewarding thing that is. I think for any musician, you know what I'm talking about. Ingrid, right? Ingrid is a professional musician, right? With the violin in the symphony orchestra. A little bit different than the music that I'm accustomed to. But the thing is that I got really into it, and I started studying some of these great guitarists, right? And anyone ever heard of a band called Dragonforce? So metal band, amazingly, ridiculously talented people. Like stupidly talented. Turns out they practice 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. They've actually been accused of doing, studio trickery, that no human can actually play that. That's impossible. Well, they can. So anyone if you're into metal to any degree, you've certainly heard of Dragonforce. So that's an example of doing it to the extreme talent. Okay. So here's my point. Who's showing up to do this work that you say is important to you? If you're going to do it, do it. But have you done it? Up to this point, have you engaged to the point where not only you're pleased with your level of engagement, your commitment, your product, right? Your production, right? So not only are you pleased with your production, but also it impresses others with increase, like what Evelyn and I were talking about just before we went live, right? Who do you want to work with? I asked this question to someone just, my goodness, it was Friday night. It may have been Friday night. Yes, I believe it was. I had a consultation with someone who was looking for some guidance in their business, and their business is at full stop. And I asked them what they're doing. I asked them a few questions, and it was interesting to me that while they were explaining to me what they were doing, their morale was really low, like just really kind of down on themselves and apathetic, even apathy, right? Like, why bother trying? There's no use. Ooh, that's a rough spot to be in. And I wound up asking them a question, not to introvert them and to accentuate their already low state of morale, but just to hopefully get an objective look. Okay, would you buy from you? That was the question. Would you buy from you? And they admitted no. Okay, great. So we've got a conclusion here. We've got a conclusion that this method or lack of method is unsound, and we deserve to make an amendment here. However, of what use to make heroic vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to keep them, said Ralph Emerson. And then we've got this guy a century later saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. So of what use to make heroic vows of amendment? Remember, everyone, it's be, do, and have in that order. Be, do, and have. So we got to decide right now who we're going to be. That's what this whole conversation is about here today. Who's showing up? There and there and there and everywhere. Who is showing up? Can we make a deliberate decision about that? Not only so that it's pleasing to ourselves, but like Evelyn reminded me, that it's pleasing to anyone who is fortunate enough to confront us in their daily operations, right? I mean, when somebody meets Kim, for example, hi, Kim, I see you. When somebody meets Kim, what is their initial impression? Is it an impression of increase, to quote Wallace Wattles, Science of Getting Rich? I would argue yes, or more likely yes, than someone. Let's say I confronted someone who has never done a moment's worth of introspection or personal development or read a book or anything. They're just walking through life bitching about everything, right? Is that the impression of increase? No. And by the way, Kim's life isn't a bowl of cherries, right? She gets to solve problems too, just like everybody. Okay. But the point is, and I'll bring us back to this one idea, that our production and recognizing that we are producing. What did Henry Ford say? There is joy in work. There's no happiness unless one sees that they've accomplished something. Our production can dictate our mood. In other words, if you want good self-esteem, do esteemable things. And then guess what will happen? You'll show up in society as an esteemed person, the highly esteemed John Apogee, right? The eminent Ace Armin, right? I'm seeing you guys got a couple of cameras up here. Your Eminence. I love that. You guys got to start calling me Your Eminence. Who the hell says that? Okay. But you get the point, right? How you see yourself will also lead to how you see or how others see you. Self-deprecation, is that your method? I hope not, right? Some people celebrate that, right? This whole idea of putting yourself down, that's somehow adorable or vulnerable or something. It's bullshit. Don't put yourself down. So how you do anything is how you do everything. Okay. So can we recognize that how we look in the mirror and perceive ourselves is also how others can perceive us? And people see through their own filters. Reality is not as it is, but as you are. Okay, but can we not predispose people to seeing the best side of ourselves? We can do that most readily by having strong integrity. As within, so without. Give yourself a command, you do it. You got an objective, you got a goal, you take action on that goal. You'll miss lots of targets, but you hit every goal you set. And knowing that you're a goal achiever, knowing that you're a high integrity individual, my goodness, is that attractive? Well, compare that with much of what's going on in society right now. Yeah, sign me up. Understand, this conversation is not for those who need it. It's for those who want it, right? If everyone who needed to be in this conversation of personal development, self-mastery, high integrity action, morals, ethics, right? Intelligence, ability, right? If everyone who needed this conversation was in this conversation, there's no digital platform on the planet that can handle that. Chose to be here, right? Can others choose to be around you? Can others choose to be in your midst, to buy your products, to be in your part of your business, a customer giving you rave reviews, testimonials, referring others? You can do that. Again, I think it all comes down to the impression of increase. which we've read about extensively. We even have workbooks on it. In fact, if you are, let's say that you're in the middle of this book right now, Secrets in a Millionaire Mind. Okay, so you're in our book study group. But we have people who are just discovering this whole group, this whole mastermind group for the first time. And if that's you, then I'm going to suggest you go into your members site. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you real quick, and I will show you what I am talking about. So share screen, here it is, share, and we log in. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. And we go into recordings, and we go into book study, and we get this other Zoom stuff out of my way. And we see, here's the book that we're on right now. If we just go down here just a little bit, by the way, we've covered a few books, haven't we? Look at this. Look at this. My goodness, all this. You get all this as part of your membership. My goodness. All right. So Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Presented in a live online workshop. There's even a Facebook group. I know a lot of you who are watching this right now are in that Facebook group, but there was a Facebook group where people got to give comments and participate. This happened like 2 months ago. Yeah, March. Okay, so there was 4 sessions, and there's an implementation guide, which you can download right here. And of course, you can download the book itself, right? So if I can here in resources, books, you can download books, right? Here you can download the book right there. So, so yeah, go through that. Go through that again. It's about 4 hours worth, 4 sessions, about an hour long each. And then there's a workbook where you can actually start to put these things to use, because to know and not to do is not to know. And that's what's coming up for me today. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if it's not something you're going to do as you, then you're probably not going to do it, right? You'll be out just like I was with golf. I'm out. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up and hear what thoughts are coming up for everyone here as we get into our week and all of our activities that we're about to do. Evelyn, I'd love to hear from you as well, since you kind of prompted me to just grab this book and open it up to a random page and start reading whatever I saw. So come on down, whoever would like to speak. You've got the floor. Okay, did I put everybody to sleep? All right, come on. We're going to hear from somebody right now. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Hi, Evelyn.
Okay, so all right. So here's the thing that prompted our conversation today, even though, John, you took it in sort of a more multidimensional direction, because that integrity is probably what is the foundation of what I'm going to say. I just been reflecting recently on just the quality of the people that I've met in this mastermind group in the past year, and that I'm really glad to be doing business and to be associating with the people in this mastermind group, because I don't want to, first of all, I wouldn't want to do business with anybody that doesn't have integrity. Okay. And that's just, or somebody, I'm going to be quite frank, I've liked all the people, they're the best people in this group. I've just had very good experiences. So, and that's, I'm learning as an entrepreneur that I don't have to do business with just everybody. I can pick and choose who I do business with. And so there seems to be a pretty high level of that ethic of how you treat other people. It's really important to treat other people well. And that's very refreshing for me. So where does that come from? It comes from values, and maintaining our values as entrepreneurs, as professionals. Integrity has got to be, the centerpiece of that. And yeah, so that's kind of where it was. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's where my head has been at. Yeah. Yeah,
because we're attracted to people who are also on purpose. That there was a book written by a guy named Kevin McCarthy, The On Purpose Person. This is going back a couple of decades. And it was essentially the what I can recall of that book is that here is someone who has a very a definiteness about them. In other words, you know what you're getting, right? There's no shell game with that. And I think a lot of times, especially in the age of social media, where, everyone is, glamour shots and everyone's Rockefeller and Lamborghinis and coconut drinks, and look at me and I'm such an influencer, right? Yeah, I think we get a bit jaded. I know I can, right? It's like, can I just see what's real? So I think people appreciate that. Evelyn, you as an example, right? I don't think you're not attempting to pose for a glamour shot right now. I mean, you're doing your thing. You're out there in the wilderness with your Western Soul hat, and great, be you. I think maybe that's the real lesson here is to be you, and that actually is sufficient, right? Back to the whole idea of introverting and self-deprecating and all this. A lot of times people walk around with an inferiority complex because some ignorant but well-meaning, perhaps, friend, family, relative, right, gave them an idea that they weren't enough. How many of us have walked around with that? Can you prove to yourself that in fact you are? And therefore prove to others who are willing to look that in fact you are quite enough. Quite enough. I mean, really, folks, if you just look at most of society, you can give yourself a damn trophy every day. That's a pretty interesting place. So anyway, thank you, Evelyn. I love you and I love this topic. Thank you for bringing it up. Who else would like to jump in here with some ideas on this magical Monday? Come on down. I did acknowledge a couple of our friends here who are with us. I'll also acknowledge Carl, who's awesome. Daisy's here. Cyril's got his hand up. Cyril is awesome in so many different ways. Hi, Cyril. Come on out. Cyril.
Hi, John. Hi, everybody. I must admit, one of the things I knew I had to deal with at some point, and because I've got a bit of a TV addiction, and have had since I was a child, and I've been able to play around with it so I can reduce it, and I've been able to do that at times, and I've known I'm going to have to deal with it, I'm on my third reading or listening to the Compound Effect, and it's throwing it at me that I've got to deal with it, and he says rather that sometimes it's better to do just chuck it all out, because it's sometimes easier to deal with when you do that. I must admit, I think I realize I utilize it for a number of reasons. Some conscious, probably a few unconscious, but and because I need to really button down to do more writing. It's not coming out fast enough. Now, I don't know that I would necessarily say that how I do one thing is how I do everything, but there are things where that is true, and others where it doesn't quite appear to me that way. But yes, but it's funny. In other things, I'm willing to confront what I see as a possible weakness and throw them out. But the TV one has stayed with me. I think for a long. Also, I think I use it for company too, which is So. It's an interesting thing, but I've always found once I've made a decision, I just get on with it, and usually most of the time there doesn't need to be too much more thought, although some things there definitely needs to be, but so I need to get my consistency more effective, more working better, and so I can really propel my movement forward at a better pace than currently. I don't know that it's necessarily totally on topic, but it's what's up for me today, and that's been I've been confronted in my mind for the last week or so. Anyway, thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry if I muttered on.
Well, look, just having the hey, Julia, we're going to bring Julia out here. Just having the willingness and motivation to look at, here's something that I could do better, or here's something I could eliminate, right? So it's probably, I mean, just take inventory on that. If it's how I do everything is how I do anything, right? Well, then is TV watching like something that you would choose to do more of, less of? Interesting considerations. Julia, you've got the floor, my friend.
Hey there. As you were talking, it brought to mind something I read years ago in one of those articles about, something my mother told me that was memorable. My mother didn't tell me this, but the adage was, don't let your corners go round. And that refers to cleaning your floors. And the whole idea is don't be lazy. Don't, get in there, dig into the corner, do everything as well as you can. And I try to keep that in mind. I would not say I'm perfect by a long shot, but that seems to me as good an adage about how to approach life and anything else you do as any. Just thought I'd share.
Don't let your corners go round. Nice. I could picture that. I could picture this dirt line that just kind of piles up in the corner. That's interesting metaphor. So diligence, right? Do it right. Yeah. So do you show up and you do it right in your life, Julia?
I think so. I mean,
Okay.
my desk is a little round at the moment,
Okay.
but in general, I try to do my best with everything.
Well, let me say this. We've got a couple of Toozle puzzles, thanks to you, and the quality of those puzzles. I know you weren't the person manufacturing them and choosing the cardboard and what have you, but your demands for quality were met because they are awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't have a Toozle puzzle, go ahead and get with Julia or get them on Amazon. And they are not easy to put together. So you will have quite a bit of time on that puzzle. Thanks, Julia. Guess who else is about to speak now? Can you guess? One of my favorite people in the whole galaxy, Hong San. Hey, Hong San, how are you? My friend Hong San.
Hi, John. How are you? Hi, everyone. Today's topic gives me some angst.
Oh.
It's weird. Well, it sounds really strange, but like I like to consider myself like a generally good-natured, well-meaning person. But the part where, how we show up for one thing is how we show up for everything. It gives me a lot of angst because that's one of my biggest issues, which I think does hurt my self-esteem because I struggle with consistency and, especially when it's just to myself. The odd thing is if it's for other people, if it's for work, if people are relying on me, if I know, if it's going to make a difference, I'm there like 110, 120%. I'll go, I'll work like crazy. But if it's for myself, my own kind of goals and dreams, for whatever reason, I tend to kind of put it aside and then never get to it. And being frank, like I often feel very let down about it. And I think I've shared in the past that this whole like feeling let down that I don't achieve what I set my goals as it's just been a trouble spot for me. But I suppose, like on days when I feel better and I feel stronger, I'm able to achieve a lot more. Maybe not to the plan that I want, but I'm making progress. And I just like to share that I feel like we have to remind ourselves that sometimes that's enough. Like, when we make some progress, like on the days we feel better and we can like plow through stuff and get that checklist, like the done,
Yeah.
like that's good enough because, we're trying our best, and we have to give ourselves that grace to be like, that's okay. Like, you know, some days you just can't get yourself going, but other days you can, and it'll get better and better, and just believe and trust in that. So yeah, so it's funny. I was like angstful because I was like, oh, I don't show up consistently the way I'd like, but but the intention is there, and I'll just have to be okay with that. If that makes any sense, because otherwise I'll keep beating myself up on it, and at this point, for my own self-esteem, I honestly can't anymore, and I just have to shift my mindset, I guess. So
Right.
that's just my personal.
Wow. Hung-san, so many insights there. I'll give you the quote again. So listen to the words. How you do anything is how you do everything. So he didn't say how you try to do or how you fail to do or how you think about doing, right? It's how you do. So that's perhaps the thing is, like we're going to hear from Cyril again, and we got Coral coming out here, is, okay, if I know that I'm doing something that is a diversion and it would be more resourceful, not that you don't deserve diversions, go have fun, right? But now I know, because I've got targets, I've got goals. Now I know that it's time for me to click the off button on the TV or whatever, you know, whatever the mechanism is, the distraction, right? Or to stop multitasking, right? Which is mythology anyway. It's just shifting your focus lots of time, but to actually put in order in my mind and on my calendar and in my actions. Okay, well now Hung-san's showing up. She's going to do, not think about doing, not practice avoidance in the area of doing this, but actually do. Okay, and it simplifies the whole thing, right? So it's like, at this point, then it's back to what we were talking about with Evelyn. It's just a matter of integrity. Can I, and sometimes, look, I have to do this too. Sometimes, so I have to just, before I can click on the next YouTube video, which is being suggested for me to watch, and there's many of them, before I can click on that, click the red button to kill the browser, or I'm on a Mac, Command Q. Command Q shuts the whole program down, right? I'm on Firefox, Command Q. I'm not even going to look, just Command Q. Poof, it's gone, right? Oh, present time, stuff, a desk. Look at this, air, right? Oh, I'm not in the video anymore, right? The fixation of, and like the hypnotic effect, right? Of being into, I'll just tell you for myself, right? Because I'm traveling right now, and I've been looking at a bunch of motorcycle videos on YouTube, checking out some of the new Harley stuff, Indian as well. Oh my goodness, the new Indians are nice. And you know, there's probably another motorcycle in my future, right? But it's real easy to get sucked into diversions like that and not do what I know I could be doing based on something that you said, the expectations of others, which is easy, right? Because now they're expecting, here's the deadline, here's the project that's got to get done, and Hung-san, you know you're going to show up. Can we also set those targets for ourselves? That's the interesting thing. Can I be the best manager I've ever had and say, here's your target, John, here's what you got to get done, okay? And John's counting on you, by the way, okay? It's kind of a weird conversation to have, but can you give yourself a directive and then follow it? So, and I think all this, again, comes back to honoring ourselves. Right? Hung-san wants this done. Well, Hung-san said it damn well better get done. Can you honor yourself as much as you honor the commitments you've made to other people? Can you honor the commitments you made to yourself? Great question. Or do we buy our own excuses? And look, what Hung-san said about she feels good, she's getting more done. Look, when I feel good, I do good. And when I do good, I feel good. This is the upward spiral, right? Production, self-esteem, morale, enthusiasm, speed, right? And more resourceful decisions, because who's making those decisions? Person who feels good about themselves, person who's going somewhere, the on-purpose person. I feel good, I do good. And I do good, I feel good. That's why my favorite four-letter word in the whole friggin' dictionary is done. I did it. I did it. Oh man, that's great. I did it. Perfectly? No, but I did it. What else can I do?
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess focus on what I am getting done to build up that internal sense of self. Because I think I keep looking at what I didn't do, and it's like you like. I mean, I know we're supposed to like just focus. Okay, I did move it forwards, but I think it's just like bad habits, bad mental stuff. Like I on when my mental state is good, I'm able to see what's happening, the bigger picture, and feel good and feel like okay. But honestly, some days I don't feel well, and it's it's long story. But but that's where I just having that mental steadiness to just be okay with things and just to keep going. I that's where I need to get to. But no,
Right.
thank you. I know what you're saying. You're just saying just keep getting the done thing going. So you're
Yeah.
okay.
Well, let's bring Cyril and Coral out here. And Cyril, you've got some ideas on this. Some more sparks are flying around in your head there. What's going
Yeah.
on?
I need to apologize up front for the Darren Hardy evangelism, but but he's thrown a few things at me, a couple of things within amongst what he was saying that I hadn't quite seen in that light. This particular one is yes, definitely. Don't beat yourself up, because it takes a while to get a new habit into operation, because old habits die hard. So beating yourself up is self-defeating, because it basically just makes the child inside want to go and hide, and then they don't want to do it at all. So it's harder to push yourself to get to do it. Another thing he puts out, which is quite useful, is that not only should we be seeing the why in what our purpose in terms of business, but actually we need the why in terms of whatever we want to do, because willpower is not going to cut it, because something else comes up and we're off. So why do you want to do what you need to do, Hung Sang? So what is really at the heart of why you want to do it? Then that also makes it easier if you have clarity in your head about why it's important for you to do it, and getting clear in one's own mind about why it's there, why you want to do it, I think is really important. And then the next thing one of the other things that he throws up is that the people who are successful, not only do they have the why in place, they also have planned out how they're going to do it in amongst the other things they're going to do anyway. So, because we have things on our plate we need to do. You can't beat yourself up because you didn't have time, because you had other important things to do. It's about wrangling the time in amongst what you have. So I think all of those things are important. And so yes, I think we'd be clear on the fact that if you've had other things to do that were important, why should you beat yourself up about it? They just needed to get done. But it may mean that you may need to clarify, rework your agenda. So, but anyway, yes. Sorry. Anyway, my 2 pence worth.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cyril. We've got a bunch of hands up now. Coral, and then Julia, then Edward. Hey, Coral.
Hi, John. Hi, everybody. Lovely to see all your beautiful faces. It's just when Cyril and Hung San were talking about things that kind of hold them back, or things that they're working on in their own personal lives. And I remember a time when I used to beat myself up about things that I haven't done. And that you're quite right, Hung San. You don't look at what you've done, you look at what you haven't done. And that's because in my significant past, there was somebody that whatever I did wasn't enough. They didn't see what I had done, that I didn't get commended for that. I always got belted on for, hammered on about the things that I had missed or hadn't done. And just recently, I've been doing the 4 days with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins about own your future. And there was this young man called Trent Shelton on, and he had a few words to say. And his little title was Standing Up for You. And I just wrote down some of his phrases because it just really hit me in the heart. And it's just something that really opened my eyes and my world. One of the things he said was that don't let people tell you what's wrong with your life when they have nothing right about theirs. They expect you to fail because they didn't succeed. They expect you to quit because they have a life full of incomplete dreams. Now, that phrase was huge for me. They expect you to quit because they have a life full of incomplete dreams. And they want you to lose faith because they've lost hope. It was just brilliant. And the last thing that really stuck with me was don't let other people's small mindset shrink your big vision. And we've got to keep our big vision in front of us all the time to so that we can belittle those other people that are putting us down. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say is that, you know, these behaviors that we have, and it's really interesting that phrase you said, John, that the way we do anything is how we do everything. And it goes back to those significant people in our past that, you know, didn't see a lot of the things that we're fighting against now, because that's where it started from. Okay, thanks. That's me.
Thank you, Coral. So many great insights. And I haven't been on any of Dean's stuff lately. He's actually my neighbor, but yeah, good insights there. Thank you, my friend. Let's get Julia out here and then Edward. Hey, Julia.
Hey, just real quick, I put it in the chat, but not everybody sees the chat. John, you enlightened some of us the other day in the CEO Freedom Accelerator about a tracker, and it seems that that might be a useful tool. Maybe we talked about it in JLSM too, I don't remember, but anyway, that might be a useful tool for folks who are struggling with watching too much TV or whatever. I find it enlightening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's hardcore. Yeah. So what Julia is referring to is an application that you can put on your mobile device where you get to confront where all your time is going, whether you like it or not. Really fun. Lots of fun. Thank you, Julia, for that. And we could take that up here in the group at some point as well. That's an interesting approach. Edward, what's going on, my man?
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Well, what's coming up for me in terms of this conversation is the topic of wet bath, because information and knowledge and wisdom and everything else can be like getting in the tub and getting wet, but when you get out, you're dry again, you know? And the limited results that you have in whatever you're doing causes you to lose motivation and lose inspiration. And then the distractions will come because you're no longer focused, okay? So like we talk about, an object in motion stays in motion. And what I've learned over the last couple of days is some of the things that you've been talking about how you look at every role you have in your life and you establish an avatar. And that was just so deep to me, how you see the avatar and the avatar of who you want to be and who you want to try to work toward being. And the way I can pretty much bring everybody in and focus with that is that, think about this. When you watch a good movie, you're no longer in your living room or in your den watching the movie. You're there wherever that person is that's transported you there. You know, a good actor like De Niro and Washington and all those people, they can transport you there. DiCaprio, they can take you to wherever they are, and you're there experiencing and living in that. That is exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish in your workday, in your life, and what you're trying to accomplish, because it's so important to understand that you're more than who you think you are. And the avatar that you see in your mind, you can become that if you choose to. So the hard part is, making sure your inspiration keeps you on that path. And the inspiration you don't want to lose, because motivation is not going to do it. You got to be inspired. So that's all I had to say.
Perfect, Edward. I'll jump in if John's not around. I think thank you for everyone that shared.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. Are we back? Okay, sorry about that. Ali's speaking. Thank you, Edward, on the avatar. Go ahead, Ali. Sorry about that.
No, just quickly. During this process of all the mindset stuff that I've personally been doing over the last year and a bit, I think it's very easy to see where you have gone wrong in the past. So it's very easy to think, oh my God, I see all your faults, really. So, and where things have gone wrong, whether in business, in personal. So it's so important not to beat yourself up over that, and see, focus. It's focus, isn't it? Focusing on the right stuff. But I find with my lists and things that I haven't been getting as much done as I've wanted to, but I think there's been 3 things that I've identified which are really important. 3 things, and that's emails. I have realized just suck so much time out of my life, and they direct me into all these different places. So I've sat down to do one thing and an email's come about something else, and I think that's urgent, so I better just quickly do that, but it just absolutely sucks so much time. And then it's notifications. I mean, I don't consider myself on my phone all the time. I'm not like that. I'm not into social media. I'm not, I don't consider myself that, but my phone does ping and I do look at it. And that is just another thing that I've, learned to just, right, I've got to get my phone out of the room to focus. And then the other thing is, well, another 2 things, having one focus. I put too much on my lists. They're just too full, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get them done. So I set myself up for failure right at the very start because there's just too much to do. So clearing things and being realistic about the time that something's going to take, and just concentrating on one thing a day. If I can achieve one thing that day, then that is a real win and a real success. There was one other thing I was thinking of, but it's gone out of my mind. So I'll leave it at that.
Beautiful. And look, that goes right along with what Edward was talking about with the avatar, right? So who's showing up to do this? And what are they choosing to do? And what are they choosing to not do? Right. And I say they as a third party, but obviously it's us, right? It's our ideal self. It's the Ali or the Edward who we're counting on to get this done, right? Like Hun-san was talking about, that people can count on her to get it done. Can she count on her? Can she give herself that same directive and meet it with the same expectancy? This is great stuff. But look, it's only high self-esteem people who would even have these considerations, right? The average moron isn't sitting around thinking about, how can I be more effective? How can I have higher integrity? How can I get my stats up? Right? Most people are just, life is being done to them. That's also out of this book. We read that last week. So I got so many great reminders out of this book. I haven't read this book in like a decade. And there's so many just point. Thanks, Harv. I forgot how good your book was. So, and thank you to John Apogee for suggesting we read it. And thank you, Ali, for all you do. And thank you, Edward. All right, we're still running here. Everything's good. We got Virginia, and then I think we're going to wrap up. Hey, Virginia Pipitone.
Hey, so Hung-Song, Laura, I just saw your comment. I commented back. There's so many great comments in the chat. I want to make sure you see them, and don't be so hard on yourself. I was reminded of the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's just how we're never going to always be making progress. There's always going to be a step back, and we're always going to be hard. And I was reminded about the author, do this, say, if I wanted to, I could do this. So that helps a lot. I got a phone call while I was on. I don't know if anybody noticed, I was on the phone. I had a mute, so I missed a lot of what Coral was saying. But this was a law of attraction phone call. So EVA, if you remember last week, I talked about taking on projects that my corporate job wanted me to do in the last few weeks of my employment that were above and beyond. This was a phone call from the #1 biggest project. She can't meet with me until the end of the month, like Memorial Weekend, because it has to be a weekend. And our meetings take 4 hours when I sign somebody up. It is. I'm like at your house half the day. And she works full time. So this was a yay. I didn't want to do this anyway. Blessing, law of attraction. I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it. I'm thrilled. That's off my plate. Then I just had the smaller other project they put on my plate. So I was actually trying to, maybe I can get out of this. So yay, I got out of it. Okay. Let me think what else I have to say. Because I don't need that burden. I don't need that stress. I don't need that trying to make impossible things work at the last minute. Who needs it? So anyway, that was exciting. And let's see, who else said something? Can't think of it right now. Maybe it was Allie, but just good, comments and very positive. So I love the meeting as always. That's kind of wanted to share my little, yay, I attracted getting out of something. We can attract moving into, we can attract getting it off our plate. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Virginia, thank you for sharing your enthusiasm with me and with everyone. I think that's beautiful icing on the cake. So this is, I guess that goes in line with this quote, how you do anything is how you do everything. Virginia wanted out of that action, that doing this, right? So guess what? Now she's not doing it. Fantastic. And look, it doesn't have to be so binary, right? On, off, on, off. Although that is one way you could approach things. Like, I decide to do this, I decide not to do this. Decisiveness, definitely, I can tell you in my experience, definitely is the way. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you for being here with us. We just kicked off our week. Get together, everyone who's doing e-commerce. We're going to get together in 1-2 hours with Emma and Neil. So tune into the e-commerce work group. And then I will see you back here tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern US time for part 3 of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.